Okay, so guys, now what we're going to look at is how to factorize a quadratic equation. Okay, now just to revise what we did last lesson, if you have x squared plus 6x plus 4x plus 24. Okay, so this is actually a quadratic. Okay, and we're going to start with this one, but we're going to do the method that we used last lesson. Okay, so remember what we did was we split this into half. Okay, and we factorized the first half. So in our first half here, we take out a factor of, looking at them, x. So we have x brackets. Okay, x squared divided by x gives us x plus 6x divided by x is 6. Okay, don't forget your plus in the middle. A lot of people forget it. All right, on the other side. Now, 4x and 24, a common factor is 4. So we get 4x plus 6. Okay, now we're going to check the brackets match. Okay, so we can write those down. So we get x plus 6 in the first bracket. Okay, so that's this pink bit. All right, and then what is left is x plus 4. So that's going to go in the second bracket. Okay, and what we have just done is we have factorized a quadratic equation. Okay, remember a quadratic equation has x squared as the highest power of x. Okay, so we will always have an x squared, okay, and nothing higher. Okay, so we've factorized a quadratic. Now, normally when you get a quadratic equation, though, it doesn't come in 4 parts. Okay, so normally what we would get is something like x squared plus 8x plus 15. This is also a quadratic, all right? But you can see that we don't have 2 terms in the middle. We've got something similar to the x squared. So we have an x squared, okay? We have a number at the end that doesn't have an x. But then in the middle now, we have this term in the middle, okay? But in the original one, we had 2 here, okay? Which allowed us to split it in 2 and do all of that kind of stuff, okay? Now, what we're actually going to do is we're going to find what to split this into so that we can just use the previous method. Okay, so we're going to find out how to split this 8x. Now, with a quadratic, they're always written in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, that's the form, that's the general form of a quadratic equation. Okay, now if we want to factorize this, we actually are going to use some of these to work it out. So the first thing we need to do is make a little table here. Okay, now in one of the tables we're going to have a times c, and in the other part of the table we're going to have just a plus. All right, so a times c, I'm actually going to move this a little lower. Okay, sorry, we'll have a b here. All right, a times c, in this case, a, we don't have it written there, but there's really a 1. So a times c is just 15. Whoops. So we have a 15 here. And b, in this case, is 8. All right, now, we need to find 2 numbers that, I'm just going to move this down a little to make it a bit better for us. We need to find 2 numbers that multiply to give a times c. So they need to multiply to give this, and they need to add to give b. All right, so we want 2 numbers that multiply to give 15. So what we're going to do is make a list of all of those pairs. Okay, so we'll make a nice list of all the numbers that multiply to give 15. So we can have 1 times 15. All right, we can have minus 1, well, let's just do the positive ones first. 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. We don't worry about half numbers or anything at the moment. Okay, then we can also have minus 1 times minus 15 and minus 3 times minus 5. All right, now they need to add up to 8. So what we do is we add these two numbers to find out what's going in the second column. So 1 plus 15 is 16, 3 plus 5 is 8, minus 1 plus minus 15 is minus 16, and minus 3 plus minus 5 is minus 8. So you can see that what we're actually looking for is this middle bit here. Okay, 3 times 5 is 8. That's what we were looking for. So they multiply to give C. Okay, they multiply to give 15 and they add to give 8. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the first term as it is. So we know that we have x squared plus. Now 8x is going to become 3x plus 5x from those two numbers. So 3x plus 5x, and then the 15 just stays as it is. Okay, so now we have a familiar looking setup here. We've got 4 terms. If we split it into 2 here, we can do x plus 3, plus 5, x plus 3, okay? And then you can see, again, the brackets match. Okay, we have, actually I might try and use the same colors as we did up above. So the brackets match here. Okay, so our first bracket is going to be x plus 3. And what's left behind, x plus 5, is going to go in the second brackets. And that's it. We've just factorized a quadratic. Okay, to start with, they're all going to be quite easy. We're going to stick to ones where they're all positive. Okay, but later on it will get a little bit harder. So let's try another one. Let's try x squared plus 8x plus 12. Okay, another nice and easy one for you. Okay, so again, we make a little table. We want A times C, and we want B. So A times C is 1 times 12, which is just 12, and B is 8. So we want to look for numbers that multiply to give 12, and that add to give 8. Okay, and if you forget which one it is, remember it's always A multiplied by C. So that means that they're the numbers that need to be multiplied. Okay, that's an easy trick just for remembering it. So numbers that multiply to give 12, there's quite a big list here. We have 1 times 12, always include that one because a lot of people forget about 1. Okay, we have 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Okay, then we have the negatives, minus 1 times minus 12, minus 2 times minus 6, minus 3 times minus 4. Okay, add them together. 1 plus 12 is 13, 2 plus 6 is 8, 3 plus 4 is 7, minus 13, minus 8, minus 7. You'll notice the minuses are all exactly the same numbers. Okay, and you will see again that we were looking for adds to 8, so we're looking for these numbers here. Okay, so our 8x is going to split into x squared plus 2x plus 6x, okay, that's from the 2 and the 6, plus 12. All right, now I will do this again. I'll do this one a little bit with that extra step that we did last lesson, just in case people are missing that at all. Okay, some of you will prefer to do it with the extra step, so let's do this one with the extra step. Okay, so we have x as our factor here. X squared divided by x is x. 2x divided by x is 2. Okay, plus on this side our factor is 6. So 6x divided by 6 is x. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Now I'm going to go all the way over to the right, but actually instead I'll just move all of this over. Okay, so this is out of our way over here for the moment. All right, so remember what we said here was let z equal x plus 2. Okay, what's in the bracket? So now we have xz plus 6z. Okay, this was the long way that we were doing it. All right, we take z as a factor now, and then we have x plus 6. But then we originally said that x plus 2, our lovely number here, was equal to z. Okay, so we're going to replace z with x plus 2, and then we're going to go back to the other side here. So we have lost all our equals here. Z is now x plus 2, and what's left is x plus 6. As I said, you don't need to do those steps anymore. Okay, I don't expect you to do the Z steps anymore. It's just there in case some of you prefer it, because I know there's always a few people who think, oh no, I really want to do it that long way. Okay, and if that's you, that's fantastic. All right, but this is it. So this is how to factorize a quadratic. In the next lesson, I will teach you a slightly shorter method. The reason that we do this is because of this A times C step. All right, because at the moment, all our A's are 1s. All right, we've got 1 the whole way through here. But if that changes and you don't know this method, you won't be able to do it. So for example, if you have 3x squared plus something, okay? So we'll look at some of those next lesson after I teach you the new shortcut. Okay? Fantastic.